Alright, what's going on today, YouTube? Welcome back to your favorite cyclist YouTube channel. This week, we're talking about the difference between a mountain bike and a gravel bike. But before we get into today's video, if you are new to my channel, make sure you head down below, hit that subscribe button for me. If you already are subscribed, make sure you hit that bell icon right next to that. That way you get notified every time I upload, so you don't miss any of this awesome cycling content we got on this channel. So like I said, today we're talking about the difference between a good old mountain bike and a gravel bike, and what the difference is between them, so you know what you're looking at when you go to look at bikes. So first off, you missed the last one of these where I compared a mountain bike to a fat bike. Check that out, I'm gonna have a link up in the corner. But today, let's talk about what we have in front of us. So right over here we have my good old 2014 Trek Superfly 5. This is a 29er hardtail that I've had for a long time, and it's been changed quite a bit from its original form back in 2014. Over here we have our gravel bike. This is our Poseidon Redwood. Again, has been changed a little bit since I got it earlier this year, but still holds the general characteristics of a gravel bike. This bike currently, fully rigid, 27.5 tires on it currently. So let's start talking about it specifically. Let's pull over to the mountain bike. Let's talk about specifics about what makes a mountain bike a mountain bike. So with mountain bikes, there have obviously been a lot of changes in mountain bikes since it really started becoming a thing in the early 90s. In this video, we're really talking about more modern mountain bikes. So really anything like mid-2000s to now is what we're really talking about. So what makes a mountain bike a mountain bike? So generally a mountain bike's gonna have a pretty aggressive tire, and they're generally gonna be a little bit wider of a tire. Somewhere between like a 2-inch to a 3-inch are probably much what you're gonna find on a mountain bike. So with that wider tire, you're also generally gonna have your 3 tire options. You're gonna have your 26-inch, 27.5, and 29er. And those are gonna be the most common sizes you find with mountain bikes. The other thing that's going to make a mountain bike is going to be the front suspension or a rear suspension, even a full suspension. For the most part, most mountain bikes from again the mid-2000s to now are either going to be a hardtail with a front suspension or a full suspension with both front and rear suspension. Rigid mountain bikes are definitely out there, but they're not near as common as either a hardtail or a full suspension. With that being the case, you're generally going to have a lot of travel on a mountain bike. They're made to soak up big hits and big landings. So in this case, with my Trek Superfly cross country bike, it has a 120mm fork, but you can have some up to like 200mm or so on if you get a purpose-built downhill bike. So that's one thing you need to look for if you're looking for a mountain bike. It's going to be that long travel suspension on there. Along with that, the way mountain bikes have been going is to give you a shorter cockpit and a wider reach to them. So in this case, mountain bikes are generally going to have a shorter stem. Now those mid-2000s bikes, some of those are going to have a little bit longer stem still, but the way mountain bikes are going now is to get you pretty much the shortest stem you can get. So in this case, I believe this has a 50mm stem on there, so a very short stem, and they generally have a really wide bar on them. In this case, these are a 780mm wide bar, so 78 centimeters is what these bars are going to be. So they have a much wider stance. They try and get you a little bit more upright, a little bit more far, get your weight kind of over the back of the bike a little more to help you get through that gnarly and tech terrain you're going through on a mountain bike. Along with that, we talk about mountain bike gearing. The way mountain bike gearing has gone is towards a 1-by setup. So pretty much you're going to have one gear on the front, which is generally going to be a smaller gear. 34 tooth, 32 tooth, or 30 tooth, something along those lines. Now if you're racing, you have something bigger, but that's going to be the general sizes you'll find on a mountain bike. With that, you're going to have a pretty wide range cassette on the back. You're going to have something from probably an 11 tooth up to a 46, 48, 50 tooth, whatever that may be. It's going to have a very wide range cassette on the back, so you can conquer all sorts of terrain on your mountain bike. Other thing you're going to have on a mountain bike is going to be a dropper post. While a dropper post is starting to become a little more common on a gravel bike, it's definitely not as common and essential as it is on a mountain bike. You're not going to find it on every gravel bike versus pretty much any mountain bike you find now. It's going to have a dropper post, or you're going to get recommended you should get a dropper post to better your riding. The other thing you'll find with mountain bikes, again, it's going to depend on the style of mountain bike you have. In my case, we have a cross-country bike here. The cross-country bike is going to generally have a little bit longer of a frame, a little bit longer of a reach to get you down into kind of a racing position. If you have more of an enduro bike or an all-mountain bike, you're going to have a much slacker reach. It's going to kind of keep you a little closer so you can maneuver a lot easier going through tight trails. And it's generally going to have a much slacker geometry to kind of lean you back over the bike a little bit more. So those are kind of characteristics of a mountain bike, and what makes a mountain bike a mountain bike. Let's move over to the Poseidon. Let's talk about gravel bikes and what makes a gravel bike a gravel bike. So let's talk about gravel bikes on my Poseidon Redwood. So obviously my Redwood is a little bit different than you would find on your standard gravel bike, and we'll talk about that in a second. So that's the biggest obvious factor about a gravel bike. That's going to be these big wide drop handlebars here. So drop handlebars, sure, you see them on road bikes all the time. Gravel bikes are going to be a little bit different. If you look at the shape of those, obviously the gravel bikes have kind of a flare out here. They flare out into the drops here and give you a little bit wider of a stance as well. Along with that, gravel handlebars are going to be wider than a road bike handlebar would be. So road bikes, generally 44 centimeters is considered about the widest that road bikes will go. In this case, these are a 53 centimeter handlebar from Redshift. And this is about as wide as gravel bike bars come. And this is a pretty large size. Compared to a mountain bike like my Superfly, it has 78 centimeter bars. These are 53 hood to hood. So these bars are still going to be narrower than a mountain bike, but that's going to be one of the defining factors of a gravel bike is going to be these flared out drops on here. Now, you can find gravel bikes with a flat bar, but it's not going to be near as common as you would find a drop bar on them. Along with that, we'll move back a little bit to the stem. They're going to have a little bit longer reach than a standard mountain bike. Now, depending on the type of gravel bike you get, if you get something more along this line, like an adventure style bike, you're going to find geometry closer to a cross-country mountain bike. So this bike and my Superfly have very similar geometries to them. With that being the case, you're still going to have a little bit longer of a stem to get you kind of into the more aerodynamic position and give you a little bit longer reach. Now, if you get more of a race gravel bike, you're going to end up with 700cc wheels, which we'll talk about wheels in a second. However, your frame design is going to look more like an endurance road bike is what the frame is going to look like. So you're going to have two different styles of gravel bikes at this moment that you're really going to run into. It's going to be your adventure style and your race style depending what kind of bike you're looking for. In my case, this is more of an adventure style bike. With that, let's move into wheel sizes. So gravel bikes, most of the time you're going to find them with a 700cc wheel and generally going to be about a 45 millimeter wide tire. Pretty standard gravel tire is going to be a little bit more aggressive than a road bike tire would be. It's essentially a miniature mountain bike tire is what you're going to find. A very narrow mountain bike tire is kind of what you're going to be looking for. However, you also find with gravel bikes, they're in the adventure category mainly, you can run multiple different tires on here. So in this case, it came with 27.5 tires when I bought it. You can put a 700C wheel on here, you can put a 29er on here, you can run whatever you want to run on this bike and it can fit them all. Now if you go for more of a race specific gravel bike, you're pretty much going to be stuck with that 700C, maybe a small 650B tire that's very narrow. So you're kind of stuck on tire sizes if you go for the race. However, you go for an adventure, tire sizes are almost as endless as if you were to ride a mountain bike. Now suspension, so we talked about suspension on the mountain bikes. Gravel bikes generally are not going to have any suspension. That's going to be the most common is no suspension at all on the gravel bike. Now sure, there are some that offer a small suspension forks like Louth. RockShox I believe makes some, so they are some that offer them. However, they are made for just vibration dampening. Made for very small imperfections in the road is all that's made for. They're going to be very small travel. They're not going to be anywhere near, even my cross-country bike 120 millimeters, they're not going to be anywhere near that. They're very small travel, and what's becoming very common on gravel bikes is to not have a suspension fork, but actually use a suspension stem or a suspension seat post to get their extra comfort while they're out on a long ride. That gives them the extra comfort they need without adding a whole bunch of weight of a suspension fork on here. Now, I don't believe I've ever seen a gravel bike that's a full suspension, so don't look for that. But you can find them with a front suspension fork if you wanted to. However, most of them are going to be fully rigid like my Poseidon Redwood here. So I'm looking at gearing on a gravel bike. In my case, this is going to be a 1x setup on here, so similar to my mountain bike. However, in the case of gravel bikes, you're not running as small of a chainring on the front. My mountain bike, I'm running a 32. This one has a 38, and that's going to be pretty common for a gravel bike. It's somewhere in the 36, 38, or 40, or 42 range, based on the type of riding you're looking to do, and of course, your leg strength itself. So you're going to find a larger front chainring on here. What's becoming popular as well is running a 2x on a gravel bike. If you're someone who's looking to do multiple terrain types, adding a front derailleur, then giving you two different options for your front chainring is definitely a possibility. However, most of them are going to run a 1x setup on the front. And then the rear, most of these are going to use similar to a mountain bike gearing set. So in my case, this is just a Microshift Advent X, which again is from 11 to 46 tooth. Very similar gearing to my Superfly on the rear. And again, that's to conquer the various terrain you're going on a gravel bike. You could be riding a flat gravel road at one moment, and next thing you know, you're climbing up a 10% grade and you want to be in the smallest gear you possibly can be. So they give you that option so you can pick and choose between what you want to use. The other thing you will see on a gravel bike, especially an adventure gravel bike, is going to be a multitude of mounting options. And that's going to be things including like these fork mounts right down here, multiple bottle cage mounts, and that's going to be because a gravel bike makes a great candidate for a bike packing bike. You want to be able to put all your stuff and secure it to your frame so you can go on a long adventure while you're on your bike. Now you will find that on some mountain bikes that are geared more towards bike packing adventures, however gravel bikes are generally going to have a lot of mounting points for that purpose. So mountain bike or gravel bike, which one is the best option for you? It's really going to depend on the type of terrain you're looking to ride. If you're looking to hit a little bit more than your standard road ride, be able to go and explore those gravel roads, like single track, a gravel bike is going to be the great way to go. You're generally not going to have as aggressive of a tire as I have on mine. You're generally going to be running a 700cc tire, again with kind of a miniature mountain bike tire on there that's going to be 40 millimeters wide or so. So it's not going to be able to take on super aggressive stuff, but it's something to be able to handle those gravel roads and the light single track you might take this on. Now if you're looking to hit some gnarly trails with rocks, descents, jumps, drops, anything along those lines, or something a little bit more aggressive, a mountain bike is going to be the way to go for you. So like I said, there are a lot of different mountain bikes that take on all sorts of different terrain you're looking to take on. You can get something like this cross-country bike that's very basic. You can take on quite a bit of trails, or you can get yourself a nice full suspension, downhill, enduro bike, and be able to take on pretty much whatever you want to throw at it. So with that mountain bike, you have a lot more options for more aggressive trails is what you're looking for a mountain bike. Now, can you go wrong with either way? No, I have both in my stable and I use them both for different purposes, very obviously. This bike is the one I take if I'm going to the mountains and I am hitting some nice, tight technical trails. The mountain bike is the way to go. It's just much more comfortable on a mountain bike trail. Now, around where I live here in Reno, Nevada, we have tons of gravel and forest roads and fire roads all around here. And my gravel bike, my Poseidon Redwood, is the one I take on those trails all the time. And really the biggest reason is this is just more efficient to ride than my mountain bike. My mountain bike just doesn't have quite the comfort or the speed that the gravel bike has. So ultimately the answer is you can't go wrong either way. But find the one that fits the type of riding you're looking to do. I would say for most of us that grew up mountain biking and want to hit some more aggressive stuff, get yourself a mountain bike. If you're a roadie and you're looking to hit a little bit more basic stuff, but not looking to really get super far into mountain biking, a gravel bike is the way to go. If you're a mountain biker, you already got a mountain bike but don't want to go full roadie, gravel bike is the way to go. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, hopefully you learned something from it. If you did, give it a big thumbs up, appreciate the support. Any comments or questions, let me know down in the comment section below. Love talking to you guys, love answering questions you guys have, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching today.